Hey guys, how are you guys doing? It's February. Anyway, something really hit me today. On my lunch break, I was reading an article from the Business of Fashion, and it was titled "The Death of Clothing." Like, hopefully by now you guys know that I'm a fashion designer, so of course I'm like on Business of Fashion all the time. And in this article, it was by Bloomberg. In this article, it was talking about how the fashion industry is really struggling right now with the rise of e-commerce, new technologies that have brought e-commerce, Amazon's, the H&Ms who are creating fast fashion and making it more affordable for people to have runway accessible looks, trend forward look. Nobody really cares about celebrities anymore. It's really all about your favorite social media person, your Instagram person that you follow and think is so real and whatnot. Those have become the new celebrities. So nobody's really paying attention to the traditional celebrities in the sense as they did before. And most importantly, people, and this is facts based in the US, so definitely kept that in mind. A lot of people are spending more money on experiences. Experiences meaning travel, food, activities. I'm pretty sure this is not your first time hearing it, and I sat there and I evaluated myself and I was like, man, I was like, okay, let's see if this is true. What do you spend your money on? I sure as heck was definitely gonna drop $40 this past weekend on jet skiing stuff that I found on Groupon. I have not gone shopping. Granted that I do make my own clothes, but still, I have not gone shopping in the longest time. The only time I went shopping was at Salvation Army for vintage stuff, literally, and so that was even super cheap. Yeah, spend my money on food. That's it. So I was like, this is definitely true. And this is not the first time that I've heard, the fashion industry is kind of going down. We hear Macy's closing, we've heard some Target's closing. They're closing. They're closing in a lot of areas. I mean, my entrepreneur teacher, definitely mentions, as soon as I mention fashion design, he's like, oh, that's a tough industry. That's very hard. It's super mature. It's da 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 da. And I mean, it's something that I've been hearing my whole life. Fashion is difficult. It's competitive. It's this, it's that. And now that I'm taking this resume writing class, one thing that I really liked about the class was just that you can list your skills, obviously, and you don't have to, your what you study does not have to be in you don't have to get a job in the field of study that you did in your undergrad. So though I studied fashion design and I'm going to come out with a master's degree, I could go into another industry. I don't know why I never really thought of it. I think just the thought just came to mind now. So I was thinking, I was like, well, maybe, I could do my fashion as I'll still do it. It'll still be a brand, but it'll be more so just something to express myself instead of this whole fashion house that I'm dreaming about, So then that way, I'm not pressuring my creativity to make money for me and provide a living for me, and I'm not ruining the creativity by doing that, because I mean that's the top priority. If you don't have the creativity, if you push it too hard, because sometimes you hear that story with these designers too, trying to keep up with the dates for fashion, which are always changing and so fast paced, and the trends of fashion and all these things. And to be honest, I was settling in my mind. I was like, yeah, if we get a job that we love, that's still in our skills and still creative, then then it'll take the pressure off of your brand thing. So that was lunch break. That was around 12, 1 something. I go to school, I work out, I come out, and as I'm riding my bike, I just think to myself, I'm like, No, like that. What? What? No, no, we're not gonna do that. I was thinking to myself, how could fashion not be an experience? Like, it should be on the same level as anything else. The problem that I do think though is that fashion has failed to be an experience because we're trying to be so businessy, and like we lack creativity now because we're trying to go to the fashion calendar and this needs to be done by this date, and we're trying so hard to like use databases to like app to what people like and spread like one idea to multiple people instead of like tailoring it. Like, I'm pretty sure back then, like a Balenciaga dress, like made by Balenciaga himself, that was an experience. All those dresses from the roaring 20s that we saw where like there's the beading and the embroidery and the hat. Like, you cannot tell me that wasn't an experience for them back then. That was an experience. But I think it was because like fashion designers, like Manolo shoes, like that's an experience. Like, you can't tell me that's not an experience. And most importantly, like, say, for example, musicians. You don't see, like, there's a bunch of musicians trying to make it. But we see new musicians popping up, you know, who have actually, like, slipped in through the cracks of that door and, like, have presented themselves to the world and have, like, made it, you know? And even still, with all the naysayers and whatnot, there are fashion brands who are, you know, maybe struggling, but they're, like, pushing and they're still making it. And I think what it is right now is it's really just a shifting times. I think we kind of see it all over. Like, our generation is thinking differently from the past generation. Jobs are thinking differently. Businesses are shifting the way they think and act. Fashion is crumbling, and I think it's crumbling because it's making way for the new people. Like, that's just how I see it. There's no way those people can be on top anymore because they're run by the people who still think, you know, like in the 1920s, and we passed that now. So not all facts you can really trust. Like, we trusted the facts when people said that Donald Trump, there was no way he was going to be president. No way Hillary is going to get... Look what happened. Look what happened. People tell us facts all the time, and sometimes there's just that one thing, that miracle that slips in between the facts and just like ruins the facts, and we're just like, wait, how did that happen? Sometimes you just can't trust the facts. Sometimes you can't. The fact is that the car that we drove in 2000 and what was that, 7 was like the most safest family car, and and they had statistics to prove it and blah 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 and whatnot, and our family got into the most ridiculous car crash ever, and they still can't explain that. The facts cannot always be trusted, so it gives way to then ask the question, am I going to allow God to do something impossible in my life? Am I open and am I willing enough with all these naysayers? Because the facts are there. But the other fact is that God can do crazy things, can do crazy and impossible things. Am I going to allow him to use me to do the impossible? Yes. Therefore, I need to believe that the impossible can actually be done. Why else would God put this desire in my heart? I don't know the future, and it doesn't make sense for me to doubt myself now about a future that I have no idea about. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I should not doubt myself now for what might possibly happen. These are all projections, and yeah, they might be based on algorithms. I can never speak on here. Algorithms and graphs and charts and stuff like that. But sometimes they're wrong. Don't doubt yourself on a future that you don't even know. And even when the universe makes it hard for it to be so. You got to believe that God, who created the universe itself, will make a way. It's not for nothing. Why else would God have put a burning desire, this passion in me for me to do this thing? Like, I'm talking about ever since I was little, I've been in arts, man. And then fashion literally just came out of nowhere. Sewing classes and a miniature brand when I was 16, or making bracelets and selling them in elementary school. Like, yeah, like I was doing that. Runway shows at 16, and then got into Parsons of all places. I didn't even know. Look, okay, little short story. I applied to FIT, Parsons, Art Institute. Parsons was my top, of course. At the time, Parsons was hot. Parsons was my top. FIT was my second. Art Institute was the last. I didn't even do FITM because their application fee was off the wall, so nope. And FIT rejected me. Art Institute said no. And I said, damn, if Art Institute says no and FIT says no, and Parsons was taking forever to respond back. And I was just like, man, what am I gonna do if I don't? And they responded back late, but I got accepted. So all of these things cannot be for nothing. I have to hold on to these truths, like hold on to them tight and tight and tight. Whenever I doubt myself, I got to remind myself of these testimonies of how I literally went to Parsons, one of the best fashion schools at the time. I come out with no student loans and like, you know, and I've done this and I've done that and I've done that, you know. I have to hold on to those things because those things I know have actually happened in my life. I know they are truths. There are actual events that happen in my life. What is going to happen? I have no idea. So then what happens is that like now you start to doubt yourself on the future, if this passion is even gonna work. And then when you do that, now the devil seeps in and starts to tell you lies that make the most sense. Like, hey man, if the fashion industry is slipping, I mean, maybe be like a chic travel agent or something, like, you know, and then do your fashion at the side, because then that way you could do it just blah 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 blah. Like, that's not what I want to do. And I know deep inside that's not what I want to do. Do not settle. Do not settle when you have a dream and when you see it and it's already been, like, you've envisioned it already. Why are you going to settle? You know, just because everything else seems like it might not, is telling you that it might not happen, or like, ooh, this might not be the right time or whatever. Those are the times, the spaces where God's work manifested in you will make the most impact. When Bloomberg said, yo, fashion is dying, clothing is dying, and then you just come up with your fashion brand, killing it and giving everybody experiences with your clothing, that's a bold move. That's a godly move, okay? That is when it's going to be the most impactful. Hold on to those testimonies, those events in your life that you know to be true. Hold on to them. I don't think David ever knew that he was going to be king. I mean, in fact, he didn't know he was going to be king. But what he did know is that he had a passion for something. He was good at being open-minded so that passion would be free to mold into anything that it needed. I don't know if I'm making sense. Like, he knew something about who he was. The outcome of that, or the end goal, no idea. But I think the beautiful and the most hardest thing to do is to allow that burning fire, whatever it is that is in you, to have an open mind, so then that way it can be free to shape and mold into whatever it is meant to be. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to be a fashion designer. That's what I know to do best. Everything that I express the best through my clothes. That's all I know. How that's going to manifest in the future, I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know. But I should continue to practice being open-minded. So in that way, I don't block off any possible blessings that could come my way. What if it is not how I envision in my head? Because God's vision for you will be greater. And if it's in alignment with His anyway, then kudos. That's even better. All I'm trying to say is the end goal, we don't know. So it's important to be open-minded, but at the same time, don't allow your passion, don't minimize your passion. Like don't make it seem like it's like some little thing or it's just like a little flicker. No, it's a fire. Like you're meant to do that thing. You're meant to do it. Stop questioning yourself. Like that is what you are meant to do. Don't doubt yourself. Don't question yourself because you've seen the evidence already in your life. Hold on to those. And most importantly, don't pressure that thing that's within you. I think a lot of times, we want it to work so bad that we become desperate or we become faithless or hopeless or don't pressure that gift. It's a gift. Realize that it's already given to you. You don't have to pound it out so hard and cry over it every night and stuff like that. It's already been given to you. It's already been given to you. Learn how to live life while trying to figure it out. There's nothing wrong with figuring it out. I feel like sometimes society makes it feel like we got this timeline or something like that. And if it's not figured out by now, listen, all right, y'all. Who is that guy? Was it freaking KFC? I remember the KFC guy who founded KFC. Wasn't he like 80 something when he made the company? Went door to door selling his chicken to people. And now it's one of the biggest fast food places ever. I hate that place, but hey, that's just a story to tell you that do not pressure yourself, man. Do not pressure yourself. Moses was 40 something before he even realized what he was meant to do. Enjoy your life and do not pressure your gift. Don't pressure it. It's already yours. And when you believe that and when you accept that, then whether it's an article or whether it's a teacher, whether it's your mom, whether it's your dad, it won't matter. It won't matter where the source comes from, who the naysayers are. It won't matter because you already know that it's yours. Grab it, accept it, take it. All right, well, that's my rant for today. I'm going to bed. As you can see, I'm ready. So have a good night, guys. Bye.